is Dad?
I think Dad has made some excellent progress today.
Your dad, he's a fun guy, right?
And I love him so much, and I think he's the greatest dad in the world.
Welcome
back. Welcome back.
All right.
How you
Welcome
been?
back. I'm good, man. It's
Welcome
season 4.
back.
We did it. We're here.
Yeah.
We did it. And guess what?
What
I
is
didn't
this
tell
thing?
I think it's a podcast.
This
but
is
I think
working
we're
on the
just
dad
two-
pod.
Is it? I don't know. I think we're just
Yeah.
two guys that just
Been a
haven't
minute.
had an in-person conversation for a couple months. So this is what we're doing.
We spent like 30 seconds prepping for this season right before this. It's like I'm hitting record. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I think it's
Here we
important to
are.
go in raw. No need to use any protection tonight. It's how we became dads,
With
right?
that,
Yeah, we're testing out the AI. So, hey, I did not tell my dad that we were coming back tonight. I don't know if you did, but
no, I haven't. But my dad was
happy
asking.
birthday to my dad because he turns an age that I know, but I'm sure he doesn't want me to say on Monday, the day before you actually turn his opposite age. And
Okay.
Yeah. And so happy early
sure
birthday
there's some-
present, Dad. This
It
is
feels like one of those things, when you have like your golden birthday. Like my birthday's
Uh-huh.
on the 31st, so my golden birthday was when I turned 31. There's probably some like numerology phrase for when you have the like inverse digits of someone.
maybe. I think that'd be fun to look up. So, maybe the AI can
Not
look that up for
live,
us.
but
Sure. No, of course not.
I
And for
think it
those
would
of
be
you
like,
who don't,
oh, cool.
yeah. For those of you who don't know, my wife and Alex have the same birthday. So instead of Alex being my podcast wife, I kind of just refer to her as my marriage Alex. I just think I've known Alex longer. It's really more fair, to be honest.
Right. I think that's I'm not opposed. Let's put it that
There we
way.
go.
I don't it wouldn't bug me the other way around, but I kind of get to smirk because I know that you do it just to needle or the love of your life just a little bit.
Yeah. What fun is being married if you can't poke somebody a little bit? So, the old Facebook way. Poke.
There you
Poke. Yeah.
There we go.
Well, to the millions of you. I'm okay. Yeah.
We just in our
We had no
rhythm.
cadence here. This is good. This is
Whoa,
good
it's fantastic.
podcasting.
Okay. You
all
got
right. I was gonna say to the millions of you, or our entire fan group, who asked us when we're coming back. The answer is now. As you can tell, we are in fact here, or I guess not now, but when you watch this or listen,
back like we
the
never
answer.
left.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Last Alex and I saw each other was in Fort Lauderdale, the middle of January. It was nice. We still had the national championship football game ahead of us. Miami had not yet lost to Indiana. And, Alex was preparing for a major medical procedure. Clearly he made it through. He's here. That's great.
Yeah.
I didn't have to get a new co-host. I was a little worried about that. But tonight is switching gears on sports. Tonight is the real opening day for Major League Baseball. So go Dodgers. We are ready to three-peat. And yeah. How are you, Alex? How you been since the procedure?
I mean, good. I mean, obviously that's the last time we really talk live. Obviously we chat online all the time, text back and forth. But I've been good. But I mean, for everybody here, I mean, there's been a lot, because we always take the break right before Thanksgiving because the holidays just get hectic. You go back to LA. We've usually got plans, and it's just like, oh man, what day of the week is it? Kind of mode of the year. So this was before we went on our Disney Christmas extravaganza, right?
Right.
And the medical procedure, and then we've had spring break already. I don't know what it's like little bit further north, but we had spring break last week. I mean, there's been a lot of just like events happening. New extracurriculars have entered the chat. So it's just been quite a whirlwind of the last few months. And it's definitely, I think we were planning on maybe delaying coming back because of the, heart procedure that I had in January. And like, I got to tell you, it was the apathy that I think, got us to this late of the game, because I probably could have sat here and talked to you the night of the procedure. It was a Thursday, in fact, but we're here.
Right. Sure. Yeah, and I feel that, and I'm actually with you. I don't want to say that I was dreading coming back, but I am fully in activity hell right now, and the thought of starting this up was rough. For those of you who don't know, my family is currently on 6 days a week of activities, and I'm just gonna let you hear them right now. Let's start with the true start of the week. Monday, both the girls have gymnastics. Tuesday, the older girls got swim. Wednesday, the older girls got gymnastics because, of course, she made the gymnastics pre-team. At 7 years old, you get to compete, but at 6 years old, you get to make the team that just goes through what it's like to be on the team, practice, but no competition. We'll see how she does in November when she turns 7. On Thursdays, the other kid, the little one, has swimming because, of course, they couldn't be the same day. Friday, we have nothing, which is great. Saturday, they both have ballet. And on Sunday, my older daughter has Hebrew school at 9 a.m. Then the younger daughter's got soccer at 10 a.m. We then pick up the older girl from Hebrew school at 12:15. And then the older one and I have soccer because I am still the head coach. And for those counting, my navy blue whale sharks of the Tacoma Park Soccer League, the greatest non-competitive dynasty that ever existed, has 24 effing kids this season, because over the last couple of seasons, I have gotten texts from parents who have said, we don't really like our team. Can we join yours? And I felt bad and said yes.
So you mathematically, what I'm hearing is that mathematically, knowing what I know about soccer, it's not a lot. It's probably enough to contribute to the Whale Sharks in some meaningful way. But you're telling me you can have an inter-squad scrimmage and 2 of the kids have to play water play.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct.
Wow.
I will say this year, I do have 4 assistant coaches, which is nice, all of whom each played a little bit of college soccer, unlike myself. So, when I have them doing drills, the other coaches can walk around and be like, do this better. And I can be,
you get to be more of the like CEO type, right? And you've got the coordinators. Obviously, I'm talking about the wrong football here, but you got the tacticians.
Yeah, it works
helping you actually get the game plan, and you're a morale guy. You're a big picture vision guy. I'm the guy that
when I have them doing ball control drills, I say ball control is not just about soccer; it's about life. And because they're 6 years old, they nod their head at me in confusion, and the parents laugh. That's my role, And I'm unofficially also the snack coordinator.
Creating soccer players, you're creating better people, right? You're trying to get them, to be better people in the world with
none of
that transcends the pitch.
Exactly. Neither of these are soccer references, but I'm trying to be both Coach Eric Taylor from Friday Night Lights and Coach Orion from D3, the Mighty Ducks, because hot take, better coach than Gordon Bombay.
Sure. A little less Will Ferrell from Kicking and Screaming. Not yelling at anybody about not yelling at Mike Ditka to get a juice box.
No.
Right.
But I do have a whistle. And I warned one of the new parents, one of the new dads whose daughter joined the team because she's in kindergarten with my daughter. And he and I become friends. And before practice started, I walked up to him and I said, you're going to notice something different about me with this whistle on. But I just want you to know it's partially an act, but I love it. And he laughed and said, should I be worried? And I said, I don't know. But overall, he said that I coached the team with a lot of passion and he's just happy to be a part of it. So I felt good about that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got the mostly the same extracurricular lineup. Girl Scouts, 3 different dance classes, right? My son's still doing gymnastics, but he's still doing it when he's with his grandma on Thursdays. So I don't count it as much because I don't have to take him. It's really close to her house and like 30-minute commute each way from our house. So it's just sort of like, you know what? If it works, it works. He's probably, though, going to be done at the end of the school year because he's also doing, although we may make it a fall thing, he just started T-ball. Okay.
Nice. How's that going?
He started T-ball. His first practice was actually 6 days after my operation. Right.
Okay.
And like I had designs of making it 2 coaches on the show here. Right. I was like, I could coach some T-ball. He wasn't even 4 yet. The way the little league calendar goes, it's based on like your grade level or whatever. And like, it was like he was within the youngest 2 months that you could actually sign up for T-ball. And so I was like, I'd love to be a coach, but I have no idea where I'm going to, in December when they're asking you, I'm like, I got no idea where I'm going to be at, whether I could be out on that field doing anything worth a darn. And I probably still would have needed to take a couple of weeks to recover, even under the best case circumstances, which I had, but he is really enjoying the T-ball.
Great.
And so that's been, like another thing where it's every single Wednesday, practices at 5:30, gets done at 6:30. And it's kind of like, it's this awkward thing of like the kids start getting ready for bed, like shortly after 7:30 as always. And so it's been kind of this, we've had to start getting a little more creative because like I used to spend Wednesdays just like cooking something. And now it's like, it's really got to be grab and go, trying to avoid like, there's not any fast food between the practice facility and our house, but really trying to avoid, like, I'm like, by the time I go out of the way, coordinate everybody's orders is going to take a while. So it's always got to be something slow cooker or just like heat and eat kind of thing. And that's been a real wrinkle, but he has really taken to the T-ball. And we were sort of like, okay, you like the T-ball. We're not going to take the gymnastics away from you now, but at the end of the spring, he will be done spending 2 days a week with his grandma because next year he's going into pre-K, and he's going into pre-K at his sister's school. And so, because the way it works here in Florida, and I've probably mentioned this before, but a lot of the elementary schools will host pre-K for the 4-year-olds because VPK is a state-sponsored program here in Florida. And so the state's paying for the first half anyway. It's probably a lot easier to pay their public schools than it is to write the checks to, the private daycares. And then you just can pay for some wraparound care. And it gets them, I got one drop off and I got one pickup at the same spot 5 days a week. That works for me. So he'll be going there, so he won't have the opportunity to go to gymnastics in the middle of his Thursdays anymore. But we did also sign him up for something else a lot closer by that he says on a scale of 1 to 30, he likes T-ball 30. He likes this thing Kid Strong 29, and he likes gymnastics 3. Okay. Kid Strong, it's apparently a chain. I don't know how big it is, but it's, you ever seen like Ninja Warrior? Or, clips from that kind of thing. So it's a little gymnastics, a little obstacle coursey, same kind of vibes, that you're going to be doing some balancing and some tumbling and some jumping around, but just closer to the house. And he likes it more. So why not?
There you go. Win-win. No, that's great. Yeah. So the older one, she's in swim class level 4. She's basically water safe, but, we took the winter off, just wanted her to get in the back in the rhythm before we did, entered the summer, and we spent a lot of time at the pool with our friends. And then, excuse me. And then, the younger one normally, so my wife got a new job. So her new hours are 7 to 3:30. So I have the mornings, she has the afternoon. So usually she has all the activities of the week. But today, because of some weird weather last week when gymnastics closed, we were double booked. So my wife took the older one to her third gymnastics class of the week because of the makeup. And I did the swim class. And normally the swim class goes terribly with me because I don't have a lot of patience for, why won't you just put your head in the water? But she was perfect today. Honestly, nice. Just to the point where when I was telling her mom about how well she did, she said, "Oh my God, that's better than she does with me." So I might have screwed myself in that regard. But to be honest, I can't keep leaving the office at 3:45, just given the environment that I'm in.
Yeah.
We were just kind of going to talk about just how our lives have gone recently. I mentioned the environment I'm in. We're in 2026, for those of you who don't know. I still currently work for the federal government. 2025 was a lot of the Silicon Valley mindset to move fast and break things. Now we're in the let's implement a bunch of changes that are going to fail phase of government. And, the year started off with them forcing my boss, who had worked in the government for 48 years, into retirement. And as a result, my under the radar strategy of being really good at my job, but people not knowing I'm good at my job, has, come to light. And so a lot of people think I know everything. So a lot of people are asking me to do stuff, and a lot of people are inviting me to meetings, and people are asking me to fix things. And unfortunately, I now have a lot more work to do than I did because people have found out that I'm capable, and I did not want that at all. I just wanted to do my job. I wanted my employees to succeed. Now I've got a lot of things to do, and that's not cool.
Yeah, that's always the problem with being,
useful.
Incompetence. Exactly.
Yeah, no, it sucks.
Exactly.
It sucks.
Competence is quite often in short supply in a lot of organizations, not the least of which being the one you work for. But before we get ourselves canceled one episode into the season,
it's fine. It's fine.
No, work's been kind of crazy for me too. I had an assistant who was kind of underperforming for a long time, and it was really, affecting my productivity because I was kind of having to do more remedial stuff to sort of cover his work. And we were trying to source somebody new to replace him before we fired him because we're like, he does something. He just doesn't do everything, and he doesn't do it fast enough, and he doesn't always, dot all the I's and cross all the T's. And something is better than nothing. So let's source something. But before we could source something, he resigned. And that was in early December. And then, so it took a month and a half before we got somebody new. So the Christmas season, Christmas and New Year's was really a lot of fun for me. But thankfully we're getting through it. The new guy's in, he's doing pretty well and training, but it's been, it's been a lot of that, just sort of feeling like taking a breath. But the other side of this, no longer doing all the remedial work, is kind of what you're saying of now I have to be in even more meetings. Now I have to be doing more strategy and less execution. And I'm like,
right.
I appreciate it, but man, sometimes I like just turning my brain off and clicking around the computer.
Yeah, the downside, and this is kind of digging in a little bit to, or dipping in, got to get my podcast terminology back. Dipping a bit into working on the dad bod, but more meetings, more additional tasks, more involvement means I don't always make it to the gym, which is frustrating because,
Yeah.
you know, if I don't have enough time in between two meetings to take a lunchtime workout, then sometimes if you think about, you know, you and I have talked a lot about how there's even your C effort's better than no effort. But
Yeah.
if by the time you walk to the locker room, you change, you get ready, you look at your clock and you're like, crap, I have another meeting in 10 minutes. It's just not, that's not worth it. So there have been a few days where
there's like
Yeah.
you're raising your stress levels, you're raising your anxiety. Like,
right.
I think that saying is never about like, okay, if you can't do the hour workout you plan, but you can do
Right.
the 30-minute workout, but
Right.
not like, hey, can you change, go top the barbell and then run out of the gym? Like that's maybe not.
Right.
It's maybe
Yeah,
not
that's
the
not
goal
what-
there.
Exactly. So, you know, I'm for the most part, you know, there was I'm still getting there. Tomorrow should be my third day of the work week, which is better, obviously better than nothing. But you know, I get really
Third day
annoyed
going
that
to the gym, or you just
Yes.
haven't showed up to work twice?
the former third day going to the gym. But I mentioned my former boss is forced into retirement, but Tuesday was his retirement party, and one of the people who works directly for me was kind of put in charge of party planning, and no one was helping her. So I spent 3 hours helping her set up for the party. So that was kind of my workout of the day, which was, you know, kind of annoying. Then I found out that all of us senior management were going to split the cost of the party. So I kind of overate that because I was like, well, I have to pay for this, so I'm going to eat a lot of the food. So that was a net loss, both monetarily, health wise, and just annoyance, you know? So
I get
Yeah.
that. I get that. I have
Yeah.
been, you know, I am coming off of like today. I flew back from Chicago from being at a conference. Since
Oh, I didn't know
Monday.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
I had no idea you were
like,
traveling.
yeah, but I didn't want to delay starting the podcast another week for like, you know, we could have done it a while. But so I've been in Chicago since Monday, right? And like
Oh,
my boss was literally like, hey, you know, my boss lives in Chicago. She wasn't even going to the conference. She just lives in
Mhm.
Chicago where the conference was, and several members of my team were going. And she's like, hey, we all need to meet up at this deep dish spot. Like
Of
this,
course.
my favorite deep dish
Yeah.
spot. It's where my
Yeah.
husband and I had our rehearsal dinner. I'm like,
there you go. That's what
Okay.
I like. That's what I
but there
like.
was that.
Yeah.
There was some Italian beef. You know, like
Of course.
if you've ever seen
course.
the SNL skit with the Bears fans, like that's kind of how I felt. Like I felt like I was trying my best. Like I was going down for breakfast to the like cafe and just getting like a Core Power 42 gram protein shake and a black coffee and being like, that's my breakfast. I'm gonna get a lot of protein. You know, like front load this because I don't know what the rest
Sure.
of the day is gonna hold here.
No, that's great.
But the week before that was spring break, and so I wasn't at home. We were camping, and then we were in Savannah for the weekend. So you know, this will be the second night in the past 2 weeks that I've slept in my own bed. So I'm a little bit out of it on the like working
Sure.
out and the eating correctly and being completely in control of exactly what I'm eating, because like when I'm grocery shopping at home, it's like I will usually get, if we're doing a taco night or something, I'll get
Mhm.
some of those like fiber tortillas, maybe a little
Mhm.
higher in protein. They've got more fiber. The rest of the family hates them. It doesn't matter because I get them regular tortillas
Mhm.
and it's fine. And everybody has what they want. But when you're going camping, you don't do
Sure.
that. You're not like, oh,
No.
I'm going to have a specialty ingredient that we can just store or freeze or do something with to make it last longer. It's like, no, we're just fitting what we can in the cooler, and I'm going to have exactly that. And then everybody's around the fire being like, Dad, you want us some more? I'm like, I'm not going to say no. I'm like, I'm a psychopath.
Sure. Sure.
So
Sure.
yeah, I'm going to have some more. So I'm feeling a little bit out of it, but one of the things, this is going to feel like a total non sequitur. I was trying to think of a transition, but I don't have it in me. One of the things that I thought, in life changes over the last, since the end of last season is we've talked many times about our therapy journeys.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if you know this, but we started sending my daughter to therapy.
Did not know that.
We started sending her to therapy in late January, I want to say. Maybe February. But she's going to a different therapist at the same practice that I go to because I was like, it's good practice. My therapist happens to be the owner, and so I was able to ask her, like, hey, who would you recommend? And she was kind of getting the gist of like, I don't want to have the same therapist as my daughter because I want us to be able to talk shit essentially, about each other.
Yeah.
And not have the therapist like, have the prior knowledge of the other person's side of a story or something. Mostly not have my side as much. But we started her, and the impetus was, we've mentioned about my oldest, about your oldest a little bit, how they can let their tempers get the best of them. They can have a lot of big feelings over little things. And for my daughter, that's always been the case, and it is still the case, right? Therapy doesn't fix you, at least not like that, and not that quickly. But the impetus was we got a note from her teacher, and it straight up said that she was being defiant and like refusing to do some quizzes because she thought they were beneath her or something like that, and distracting the rest of the class. And so my wife and I were sort of like, this was the final straw. We had been talking about therapy for her for a while.
Right.
But it was always this barrier of like, she's like this at home when she's comfortable. We talked a lot on this podcast about the emotional dump that kids have when they're holding in all their emotions at school, and they come home and they unmask, unload, whatever you want to call it, and they just emotion dump because they feel safe. And it's actually frustrating as hell, but it should be a badge of honor that you're creating a safe space for them. It's both of those things.
Yep.
But that line got crossed, right? It's like, you can be a little shit all you want at home, unload your emotions, be frustrating for me, feel all your feelings, as long as you get it out of your system, and we are coaching you, teaching you, helping you, preparing you to be a respectful person out in the real world. That's fun.
But the line got crossed.
And the line got crossed. Now, I will say, within a few weeks, we got another note from the teacher saying that there had been market improvement. And not only was it just therapy, but it was also like, hey, if this happens again, we are going to, when she started getting disrespectful at home, we're like, okay, we're gonna be a little bit firmer about this. You're gonna lose time with your grandmas. If it doesn't get better after those, like, hey, this Thursday you're not going with this grandma, or this day you're not going with this grandma, that doesn't get better, we'll start taking those away on bigger chunks, or we'll take away dance classes. We'll take away certain extracurriculars, right? Like, if you can't be a good person or a polite person, good, bad, but polite outside the home, then you just will stay here until you can figure it out a little bit.
Because then you can't trust, because then you can't trust them to be a polite person at these activities. We say the same thing.
Yeah.
To our kid, Yeah.
Yeah. And I just, and so that's been a little bit of a journey. And when we talk about like schedule and everything, and I'm happy to do this because I think the outcomes are worth it. The growth for her is worth it. Sure. But, I really wanted her to go to the same practice I go to for the fact that it's very good. They've got hundreds of Google reviews, all 5 stars. And it's also really close. And it's convenient.
It's easy.
And
Yeah.
I know the Wi-Fi password, so I can take my laptop and work. The problem is because of all of these factors, scheduling is kind of a nightmare. And so the only slot was 2:00 on Friday, which
What
is
time does school
exactly
get out?
when 2:00.
Oh, okay. Sure.
But I need to pick her up early because she needs to be at the therapist. And last pickup before the bell is 1:30. They don't let
okay.
kids come out at like 1:50 or something like that. It's like I need to be in the parking lot at like 1:29 and walk in and just like 1:29 and 58 seconds and be like, hey, can I get my daughter? And it's not a problem. They don't say no at 1:35. They're just like, we're really not supposed to do this. Please don't do this again. Kind of like they're not going to stop you from picking up your kid, but they're going to give you the business about it. And so that's been a little bit of like, okay, I've got to, in the middle of my work day, I've got to go interrupt her school day, pull her out, go with her to the therapy office. It's 5 minutes away. By the time we're out the door to the therapy office, I'm like, we've got like 20 minutes to just kill here in the waiting room. And she's like wanting to talk to me. And I'm like, I'm trying to write an email. Like, give me a break. Like, I get it. You're with dad. Like, you want to talk to me. I want you to feel like you can talk and be open. That's kind of the whole point here. But like, I'm
still working.
Like,
yeah.
Right.
So hold on.
Really gotta work.
Wait, so the bell's at 1:30, but class ends at 2? Sorry, what's the deal?
The bell is at 2:00.
Okay.
If you are picking your kid up early, you have to get them by 1:30. 1:30 to 2:00 is considered a dead period for pickup because they don't want kids moving around and shuffling as they're trying to organize everybody to say, here are the walkers, here are the bike riders, here are the car riders, and here are the bus riders. Right.
Got it. Okay.
They don't want extra chaos. So they're trying to keep it there. So it's like I need to pick her up by 1:30 or wait until the final bell. So I pick her up at 1:30. And so that's been a fun little addition. Luckily it's nice. My mom is picking up my son at like 2:45, and then she drives 5 minutes, meets me at the therapy office, and my daughter just gets in my mom's car, goes off to afternoon with grandma, and I drive back home. So it's really, it's as convenient as inconvenient can be.
Sure.
So
yeah, that's good.
That's been a interesting one. To see her go through that process.
Yeah, we've had some difficulty behavior wise with both the girls lately. A lot of it is terrible for me in the mornings because they are extremely strict now on swiping in, swiping out. There have been times where I'm so stressed when so I'll say this. When I started at this job in the summer of 2023, there was a particular metro closure where only one train was coming through my transfer station. So for 2 years, I never had to know what train I was getting on because I knew I was going to get to the office. That has since changed. And 4 separate times, I am 2 stops away from work. And then I noticed that I'm no longer underground. And that's because I got on the wrong train at my transfer. And for those of you unfamiliar with the DC Metro system, if you are leaving L'Enfant Plaza, which is one of the 3-line transfer stations, and you notice that there is some sunlight, you are headed to the Pentagon. So on 4 separate occasions, I have ended up at the Pentagon, where you then have to run to a different platform, get on a yellow line train. The colors don't really matter, but for the purposes of this, you get on a yellow line train, which lets you off back at the stop I was just at. Then, so, again, going above the Potomac River, I then have to run to yet another platform to get on the green line train that I was supposed to get on for 2 more stops. So usually that one screw up where I'm not paying attention at my initial transfer is anywhere from a 20 to 40 minute round trip to get to work, which luckily I now religiously check what train I'm getting onto, which you know, in theory done, but I had no idea for like 2 years that this was ever going to be a problem because it just didn't really make sense. So so knowing that can happen, you know, it is quite stressful when the girls are not getting out the door in a useful manner and expedient. And how do you explain to a 3-year-old that if you're late too many times, they will fire you? It's really not the best.
Right.
Usually results in a little bit of a yelling that I'm uncomfortable with, and usually have to apologize to later. But speaking of that, I do have a fun little story. So I mentioned how I had swim lesson with her today. So I get to school to pick her up, and one of her teachers says, "I need to talk to you about something." And I said, "Okay." And she goes, "She said a bad word today." And I said, "Oh?" And she goes, "She said O Fuck. 3.5, right?" And she goes, "I don't know where she learned that from." And I said, beats me. Who knows?
Bluey, like,
yeah. Oh God, it wasn't this morning when I was screaming to get her out the door, was it? But so I go, "Okay," and she goes, I need you to enforce that she doesn't say that anymore at school." And I said, sure. So she and I are walking, we're holding hands, we're going to the swim lesson. And I say, "Did you say a bad word today?" And she goes, "Nope." And I said, "Are you telling the truth?" She goes, "Yep." And I said, "Your teacher told me you said a bad word." And she goes, "Nope." And then I said, "Did you say a bad word?" And she goes, well, I fell. And I was like, "Oh, so you said it as a result of falling?" And she goes, "Nope." And I was like, "Are you just changing the subject?" She goes, "Yep." I was like, okay, well, that's good, I guess. Yeah, I'll just tell your mom. And yeah. So that was interesting. And in fact, the other day, when the 4 of us were walking home, my wife had said, "You know, she told me verbatim what you said when you were yelling to get them out the door today." And I said, "What?" And she goes, "Yep, she repeated everything you said and said, 'Daddy said this, Daddy said that.'" I said, "Oh, so we've reached the narc phase." Cool. And I said, "I already apologized." And she goes, "That's not the point, Ethan." Said, okay. So, you know, we're there. That's where I am in my household. Easily the 5th ranking official out of the 4 of us. So
yeah, I mean, my kids, for the most part, you know, I haven't caught them swearing, right? Like, they know, like, I think my son will let stuff slip sometimes, but it's not with any intention. It's just like,
sure.
Sometimes he'll repeat something I, or more likely my wife, has said.
Sure. I know her.
Yeah. And so, you know, we correct them, but they're usually pretty good about that. But when my daughter was 3, I'm sure I've told you this story, if not told it on this podcast. At one time she was walking with my wife outside a convenience store, and she just goes, "Shit." And my wife goes, "What did you just say?" She goes, "Shit." Goes, "Why did you say that?" My daughter just goes, "Oh, I just thought, fuck it."
Yep.
I'm like,
yep.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
That's my wife's daughter right there.
Yeah. Well, you know, I am the one that screamed, "Oh, fuck," at a toy trampoline, which caused my older daughter to turn it into a song. Fucking in my roomie. Fucking in my roomie.
Oh
Great.
boy. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure we put the explicit tag on this one.
Yeah. Clip it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely, this is one of those seasons of life where I don't feel maybe as overwhelmed with parenting, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Like I feel overwhelmed by the responsibilities of being a parent, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
I'm with you.
but I don't feel like it's overwhelmed with, like, I've learned how to better navigate the arguments, the fights, prevent the meltdowns, like honed it, dialed in the consequences, right? The expectations, all that stuff. It's just like it feels like there's always something. And I have quite a few coworkers. I feel like I had a lot of people that when I first had kids would be like, oh yeah, and their comment would always be something like, oh, prepare for not a lot of sleep, or something like
Mhm.
that, or oh yeah, your life's gonna change, blah blah blah. But now I have a lot of coworkers who have like teenagers,
Yeah.
right? And they ask me how old my kids are, and their reaction is always something almost verbatim. Oh, you're in the thick of it. When I tell them
Yep.
I've got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, they're like, oh, you're in the thick of it. And I'm like, okay, that makes me actually feel a little bit better, because for me, it's kind of felt like, okay, we've got this and this and this, and then and we're just going to keep going. But it's like right now, I'm sort of like, we're in this phase where my kids kind of want to try everything. They
Mhm.
kind of want to do everything, and I kind of want to encourage them to try and do everything. Right? Your
Sure.
kids are not going to need swim lessons forever, or Hebrew
Right.
school has an end date. Right? It's not necessarily closed, but there's an end date.
Sure. Sure.
And there's some of those things where it's like, and then maybe it's the gymnastics or the dances or the this side or the other that becomes one of their bigger things as they get a little bit older, but they're also more responsible. They can pack their own stuff a little bit better. They can coordinate and all those kinds of things. And so it's very, that's where I'm feeling right now. It's just overwhelmed. And then it's like random just school events and different
Yeah.
things. And it's the wildest thing to me. I don't know. This may not have happened to you. You may not have had like enough time in the elementary school system, but like, I feel like that I am just perpetually just kind of like hearing about things at the last minute, whether directly from the school system, from the teacher, or from my daughter, where it'll just be like, I'll get a text message. It'll be like, tomorrow is this big thing. Like, and you're just like, you could told me like picture day was 2 weeks ago. You could have told me about picture day.
Yesterday was class picture day, and I feel like I did not know before Tuesday.
Yeah, and I just like
it might have been buried down in like the this is what's happening in March email, like way down. But that's uncool. That's not
like
good.
I just get like a flyer. I'll get a piece of paper and it'll be like, hey, we're going on a field trip tomorrow. Can you sign this permission slip? And I'm like, well, dang, like quick turnaround, but yeah, I'll sign it. Or my daughter got her school started a first grade choir, and she was selected for it. Great,
Lovely. Sure.
And it was just like, by the way, we're doing a Black History Month performance this weekend, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of a big change to my weekend plans. It's from 9 to 1. Okay, there's a big.
That's a good.
Nice
It's a big chunk of the day. Yeah. No, that's rough.
And so there was, like, then it's like, okay, you got to take him to the t-ball practice at 9, and I got to do this, and we got to do a little more divide and conquer versus like 3 of us sitting by a t-ball field going, oh yeah, good hit, that kind of thing. So and then got a note this week. My daughter has won Citizen of the Month, and I'm like, I'm proud of you. This is a fantastic turnaround from
Yeah.
defiant and not doing your quizzes in just a couple of months. And
What is-
but I'm like, but now I have to be at a award presentation tomorrow morning at 8
Sure.
a.m. And I'm like,
Oh, of
I'm
course.
down for her, but like, that's a big thing. It's like, hey, will you guys be attending? And like, it's so jarring that
Mhm.
my son is in this phase. Quick aside, it's in his phase where he's really gotten into his bike. He really wants to
Mhm.
learn it. We went camping last week. We rented bikes. I had a bike. My wife had a bike. My daughter had a bike. And one of the adult bikes had a trailer for
Sure.
my son.
Sure.
He got the FOMO that I've been waiting for him to get, and I need him to get so he can bike to school next year. Well, now he's
Mhm.
got it. Now he wants to do it. And I go to my wife. I go, we got to be at school at 8 a.m. We're not going to the gym. That's our normal gym slot. We're clearly not going to the gym. Why don't I drive her to school as I normally do on Fridays? And then I can come back and little man can bike while I walk to school if you want to drive up there. And she goes, he's gonna bike all the way to the gym. And I'm like, no, to school. And she goes, why would he be going to the, oh God, he's got to come to this thing. Oh man, like we're normally at the gym. We have him there. He can't go to school yet because it's an hour before his school starts. He's got to come to her school and can't go to his school until we're done with the presentation at her school. I'm like, yep. That feels like the microcosm of just the chaos. Kids wanting to do things, having commitments, and
yeah, yep, 100%. And what is Citizen of the Month for a first grader?
So it is one of their core character principles. They have a thing called character counts. That's just like they have some character principles, and they name a Citizen of the Month who has done something to make other people's days, lives, weeks better. I think they pick a person per class. Per month.
We'll go her.
But she got the certificate. She brought it home. I guess this was probably a week ago now, but she brought it home, and it was just like she was absolutely beaming. Right? Like,
great.
There'll be stuff where, some of these permission slips or notifications about certain events, like I'll have to clean out the backpack and find it and be like, is this chocolate milk on the bottom? Like, whatever. It's like, she got home. It was like, Dad, here, look at this thing. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. She was stoked.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's cool. So I'm going to ask you a question I haven't asked you in a while. Do you want to work on the dad bod with me?
A little bit, but I kind of also want to, we've done some planning. We kind of talked about this a little bit. I wanted to maybe consider talking to our viewers and changing up this segment a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the working on the dad bod segment, while beneficial for a lot of reasons, not the least of which being, some accountability. Maybe it's a little stale. If you guys go in the Wayback Machine of our archives, you'll hear our own dads say it's not the best.
Okay.
It's not the best. Okay. So what I was thinking that we might do, and this isn't going to preclude, you're ready to talk about the dad bod. We'll talk about the dad bod. But I am proposing maybe a rotation that we don't always just talk about the weight loss and the diet. But I know one thing that you and I have been doing a lot, because we've been doing some of the same things within it, is like reading or other betterment, self-improvement things. And maybe, and this will evolve as the season goes on, but maybe, we've been like working on the dad, like what are we doing for gaining new skills or mental clarity or reading or whatever, kind of thing, and make it a rotation.
So I think that's a great idea. In fact, I was actually, I'm not too thrilled with the 183.4 I had today, but I mentioned I haven't been going to the gym as often as I would like. But I was actually going to change it up with a little tale for all of our listeners. So
go for it.
There's this thing in north of Florida called winter. Have you heard of it? I know it's been a while since you lived in North Carolina.
I was just in Chicago.
Right. Okay. So about a month ago, I went to the gym at work, had a good workout. Things were good. I have a meeting with one of the political appointees. I get into his office. I take out my phone from my pocket, my work phone, personal phone, got my iPad there, about to start typing. I notice no wedding ring on my finger. And I'm like, what happened there? So the entire hour-long meeting, I am fidgeting because since September
you can't get your mind
10th,
off of it.
yeah, since September 10th, 2017, I have never not had it on. Yeah, I do this sometimes, but I have never not had it on. I swim in it, I sleep in it, I shower in it, I work out in it. Never have I not had it on. So the entire meeting, hour long, I keep looking, seeing, hoping that it would show up on the floor where it wasn't.
Right.
I keep patting my pockets, not there. Retrace every single step I took that day because I said, I know I had it on today, but had I not seen my hand, I never would have known. I've come to the conclusion that what happened was because I had lost a lot of weight and it was winter, that at some point, because of the ease in which I'm able to take it off, I accidentally dried my hands. It got caught in a paper towel, and I think I threw out my wedding ring. That is like the only conclusion that makes sense, because it's not like somebody picked it up and started wearing it. Retraced all my steps, told everybody. I even went to the Lost and Found by DOT Armed Security, and I walked in and I said, hey, did anybody drop a wedding ring? And the security guard on duty goes, oh, fuck. As if like that was the worst thing that happened to him all day. And he goes, give me your phone number, your work phone number, your email address. If anybody brings it up, I'm going to call you right away. This is the last 4 digits of the phone number. You pick it up. And everybody was on high alert for this thing. I'm pretty sure I just threw it away. Why am I 100% sure that that's what happened? Because I went on Amazon. I bought a new wedding ring, same size. I went on the treadmill with my new wedding ring. I felt it jiggle the entire time I was running. So I had to buy a third wedding ring to keep a half size down, because when in the slight chance that my finger will get thicker in the summertime as it warms up, I wanted to make sure I had the original size that I knew at least fit before. But now I've now paid for 3 wedding rings, and I'm going to tell you this, inflation's a real thing, because my original wedding ring in 2017 cost $10. And each one of these was $13. So, 30% increase.
Man, I'm not sure I would have said those numbers out loud.
It's okay.
Listen, I have my wedding ring probably cost $300. Like, I want to say, I mean, we were living in New York City at the time. Again,
Sure.
I do have experienced winter.
Sure.
Went to this small little custom jeweler in Brooklyn. And I mean, it's a very nice round gold ring, as round gold rings go, without any major adornment. And if you ask the functional difference between what you've got, a $13 ring and a $300 ring, I wouldn't know. Now, am I wearing a like $10 silicone ring? Absolutely. For most of the reasons that you've mentioned, whether it's weight loss or being afraid that I'll lose it, like I can get a 3-pack of these for like $10. And so I wear one of these. The other thing I was noticing with mine, I don't know the specifics of why, whenever I would use dumbbells with it, it would get scratched up and scuffed. The gold would actually get scratched up. And so I was like, again, if I'm going somewhere nice, I know exactly where my wedding ring is, but I'm just usually not wearing it during the day. But I like the silicone ones because they're
yeah. And look, my $10 original ring, titanium plated, really nice, love it, got nothing wrong. It's simple. I followed the Jewish custom and stereotypes to a T with this wedding ring. And yep. And when I called my wife after an hour looking for the ring, I call her at work and she goes, is everything okay? And I say, like, I'm really, really sorry. lost my wedding ring. And she goes, I'm surprised it took you this long to use it. That's why we bought such an inexpensive one, because we thought you'd lose it. And I was just offended, like
You're like, that's why you.
yeah.
But I was not aware of this plan.
Yeah. I had no
been
idea.
A few years. You forgot that you didn't loop me into this plan.
Yeah. So it's like, so you thought I would lose this, which I did, but you let me have 2 children? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, I could have lost them. So, anyway, point is,
the children would make a sound if you threw them in the trash can.
I guess it depends when you throw them in the trash can. If we want to get really dark about this.
No, we don't. We don't.
Flip it.
I think we. God.
All right. How would you like to spend your version of this segment?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, somebody was asking me, that knew I'd had a heart procedure, if it felt different after, like the function. And I think that was one of the things that I was a little like curious about. I wouldn't even say I was like optimistic, but just curious. Like, what is like the last time I had surgery, any sort of operation, it's 12 years old. And I was at the point where I couldn't walk 9 holes of golf without being gassed. I couldn't walk, a straight mile around the neighborhood nonstop without being gassed.
Right.
I was retaining a lot of water. Like I was a chubby little middle schooler. But everybody's like awkward physically in middle school, but like I just didn't have the function there. And then after I got the surgery, it was just like night and day. This time, I didn't feel part of that was by design. My cardiologist was like, "Hey, let's get this done before it becomes a problem." But it's going to be you're like on the threshold of it being a problem. So like, let's not get there. I'm like, okay, that sounds like a plan. But what I said is like, imagine like when you go for a run, imagine that you got an okay night's sleep, how that run feels. And then imagine you got a really good night's sleep, how that run feels.
Yeah.
Are you average Joe to Olympian difference? No. But it feels a little bit easier. Everything feels a little bit better. Everything feels a little less hard. And you're like, am I perfect? No. But that's basically what it's felt like, especially in like the cardio department. I did have my 1 month checkup and I did get it admonished because I started lifting weights too soon. Like I was talking to them about it in the hospital, and the sense I kept getting was like, feel it out for your body, right? This was not an open heart where they cut open the sternum. So it wasn't like when I had my last procedure, cut open the sternum, they're like, don't even ride a bike. We don't want you like falling off the bike, hard impacts with the sternum, all that kind of stuff. Like your body went through something major. This was a catheterization, cardiac catheterization. So it was just like a wound site in my groin that needed to heal. And I felt pretty good. And they're like, okay, you're lifting weights. What are you doing? What kind of weightlifting are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm like, I was taking it easy to like do, like the seated chest press machine and seated rows and like that kind of stuff, pretty easy until, I felt pretty confident. And they're like, and what did you do once you felt confident? I did heavy deadlifts. They're like, okay, so nothing bad happened, so you can keep doing it, but you shouldn't have done it. I was like, but the point is,
okay,
you can still do it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was they're mad at you with the process, not the outcomes.
Right. They're like the survivorship bias, right? Like you did something stupid and you got away with it. That doesn't make it smart.
Right. Sure.
Anyway, we're here.
Well, I for one am happy you're doing well and that I didn't need a new co-host.
Same.
Yeah. So I want to be upfront with our guests. I'm 99% sure that we will be back next week. Although it's the second night of Passover, but I'm pretty sure that's fine. In this year for us, I think it's fair to say we might not be an every week podcast this season. I mean, I want to say we're going to do as many as we can, but
yeah, let's level
set
expectations.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, they
Under-promise,
usually
over-deliver.
Yeah, exactly. And not that I don't love this, not that it is not one of my favorite parts of the week, because it really is. I'm tired. There's a lot going on. I need to get through this stretch of activity hell, especially since the one we're currently in has Thursday night activity. So, just bear with us, and
we'll figure it out. I mean, honestly, you and I may end up just chatting it up and figuring out, there's nothing other than habit and history that tells us we have to record on certain nights or do it certain ways.
Right.
So we may be back. We also may, won't rule out like solo episodes or bringing on other guests, having guest hosts or things like that. We may try some different things this season to just, keep things a little fresher, keep things a little different, but make sure when we're here, we're doing our best possible job. But sometimes that is going to mean we just need to sleep. We just need to clean our house, or we just need to do the other things that busy dads need to do.
Exactly. And, with that, I want to thank everybody for working on the Dad Pod with us. Yeah. I hope you all enjoyed the resolution on my new computer, because I finally got one. So I hope it looks okay.
You look great.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thanks. Happy birthday to my father. Happy early birthday to Alex and my wife. And I look forward to seeing my mom tomorrow. And Mom, if you have not listened by the time I see you, I'm going to call you out on it. So, keep that in mind. And with that, do all the liking and subscribing on YouTube and stuff. Don't forget. All right. Thanks. Bye.